Hello everybody, welcome to the back to the channel. I am Grant the broadcaster, and today is a big day for sports fans everywhere. Selection Sunday, the bracket's been revealed. I watched it, I reacted to it, and I've also made my pick. So that's what this video is going to be all about. Hopefully you'll follow along here in the video over the next couple of minutes, and let's see what I pull out of my bracket here for this 2025 March Madness. Lots of good matchups, some hard picks, some interesting picks, but that's all the fun of it. So let's run through my 2025 bracket. I've done it on paper. We're going to fill it out on the screen, and let's have some fun.
On the TV, let's get this started. 2025 March Madness. I'm going to go through my picks. Some analysis behind why I picked what. Or just on the random ones where I just said, you know what, let's pick this team. We'll also go through that reasoning a bit too. But it was a fun bracket to pick. Lots of surprises along the way, and I'll go through those as we progress throughout my bracket. But first, let's start top left corner of the bracket, South Region, number 1 overall seed, Auburn. We'll play the winner of the play-in first 4 game between Alabama State and St. Francis. So, I picked St. Francis on my bracket, but it doesn't really end up mattering when you see Auburn advancing to the second round. Should be a pretty easy pick there. Here's Louisville and Creighton. This is already a quick one. This was the second game that they announced on the selection show. Louisville, Pat Kelsey, what a year he's had for Louisville. Chucky Hepburn on that squad, had a big shot in the ACC tournament. But Louisville, there you see him against number 9 Creighton, who went pretty much toe-to-toe with St. John's in the Big East Championship. This is a tough pick, but I went with Creighton. Louisville and Pat Kelsey have done a great job this season. But I even like Creighton Blue Jays, and I think that with Ryan Kalkbrenner, some of the talent they have, can be a dangerous March team, as they have proven to be in recent years. So I think Creighton will meet Auburn there in round number 2. Michigan against UC San Diego. How about UC San Diego? 30-4 record? They played a really great season. Michigan wins the Big Ten. That happened just a couple of hours ago before the selection show. Lots of people are going to pick UC San Diego to win this game. I think Michigan's hot. I think they have the talent, led by Dusty May, Vlad Golden, to cup that FAU pair. I think that they can get decently far. Michigan to beat UC San Diego. 13-4 in the South Region, Yale and Texas A&M. I'm going with my first upset here, Yale over Texas A&M. Don't know too much about these two teams. Yale made some noise in the Ivy League Championship, so I look forward to Yale upsetting Texas A&M. So an early 13-4 there. And here's Ole Miss. Ole Miss with the play-in game against kind of a surprising bid belonging to North Carolina. They get into the first 4. They'll play San Diego State. But again, doesn't really matter too much to me who wins that one. I think Ole Miss will be able to beat both of those teams. However, the way North Carolina played in the last few games, it showed that they may have the capability to beat some good teams, but still a surprise to many seeing them get into the tournament. So I think Ole Miss takes care of business there. Oh, Iowa State against Lipscomb. Iowa State was not too... What's the word I'm looking for? They didn't catch your eye going down the stretch of the season, but I still think that they are very capable. TJ Altenberger, their head coach, young guy, they can play. And Iowa State, I think, should have no issue getting past Lipscomb in the first round. Marquette against New Mexico. New Mexico, good season for them in out west. And for Marquette, with Shaka Smart, kind of an up-and-down season. Cruise to the finish line, though. I think Marquette will take down the 10 seed New Mexico there. And the Michigan State, good draw with Bryant in the bottom of the South region. Michigan State, I pick over Bryant. So, we'll come back to the South region in a moment. Let's go down, continuing with the round of 64 here in the West. Florida against Norfolk State should be a no-brainer. They were number 1 seed Florida. I've been really impressed with them the last couple of weeks, especially in that SEC championship against Tennessee. UConn against Oklahoma should be a good game. Dan Hurley's squad going against an Oklahoma team that I believe is 13-0 in non-conference games. I'm going to pick the Sooners to beat UConn there. Should be a good 8-9 matchup in the West part of the bracket. Memphis and Colorado State. Colorado State out of the mountain beat Boise, it was, I believe, in that championship. Memphis out of the AAC, and I'm going to go with Memphis to beat Colorado State, the 5 over the 12. Now with Maryland and Grand Canyon, GCU, always kind of a fun team to root for and pick for. Maryland, though, really high on them coming in to the NCAA tournament. Couldn't quite get the job done in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. Lost to the eventual champion, Michigan. But I think Maryland will have some success come the big dance. Missouri against Drake. This is going to be the really popular upset pick here for Drake on top of Missouri in this tournament. And I'm going to ride that train. Drake is going to be a fun team to watch. Missouri can be dangerous and then get out of that first round. But I'm going to go with the crowd on this one and pick Drake to top Missouri in round one. Texas Tech and UNCW. University of North Carolina something W. But anyway, 3 Texas Tech is going to take care against 14 UNCW there. Here's Kansas and Arkansas. Bill Self, Coach Calipari. 7-10 matchup. Kind of unfamiliar territory seed-wise for these two teams. Kansas is lowest seed in about 2 decades. This is a tough one to pick for. It could be a good game. I have not been a big Kansas believer all season long. Obviously, they kind of regressed this season. Still got some star power, but I like Arkansas with a 10-7 upset there. And then the Johnnies are going to roll on St. John's. Looking forward to watching them play in March. I'm going to go with St. John's to beat Omaha in the 15-2 game. Now we're going to switch over to the opposite side of the bracket and find ourselves in the Midwest. Top right corner of the bracket. Houston against Southern Illinois University. Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. 1 seed Houston's going to win there. Gonzaga against Georgia. This is going to be a fun game. Mark Few still at Gonzaga. Gets them back to the tournament with another good record. Georgia had a couple of big wins in the middle parts of that SEC schedule. I'm going to go with Georgia with a 9-8 win against Gonzaga there. Clemson and McNeese. We know McNeese is student manager, Mr. Beatbox, whatever his name is. He's going to be fun to watch come tournament time. But I like the basketball style that Clemson plays. I'll have the 5 seed Clemson move on there. Purdue against High Point. This will be another popular upset pick for many people. High Point, again, showed some things they could do in their conference tournament. But Purdue still has enough stars, and Matt Painter is still a good enough coach to get them through that first round and have a date with Clemson. Further down in the Midwest region, playing game here in the first 4, Texas and Xavier. They're going to meet Illinois, my Illinois Fighting Illini. Yes, I'm mad at Illinois. I'm mad at a lot of things they've done this season, but I think that they have the capabilities to show some things in the tournament. Maybe they're just built to win at the right time. Hopefully that'd be the case. I pick them winning. Whoever gets past Texas and Xavier, which I had picked Xavier to beat Texas anyway. Kentucky against Troy, 14-3. I think Kentucky, Mark Pope's team, despite a little struggle near the end of the season, will win there. Big Ten against the Mountain West, Utah State, UCLA, and the Utah State Aggies, 7-10. That should be a pretty good game. I'm going to pick UCLA to advance to the next round, however. And then the 2-15 matchup, Tennessee and Wolford. I'll go with Tennessee with Jordan Gainey and lots of fun talent on that team as well. Tennessee, again, always a dangerous team to watch out for in the tournament. Where am I? I'm all over the place. Hey, there we go. We did not go to the top right. Forgot about Duke in the East. That was the bottom right. Now in the East, Duke against the first 4 winner of American and Mount St. Mary's. Duke, 1 seed. They're against whoever they would play, a 16 seed. Duke should be able to take care of business there. Mississippi State and Baylor. 8-9 games, always fun. But give me Mississippi State. 2 teams that I haven't watched too much this season. But Mississippi State looks good to my eyes. Sometimes the best picks are ones you have no idea about. Oregon and Liberty, 12-5. Intriguing to pick the Liberty Flames there, but Oregon did enough in games to convince me to pick them to win this one. I'll have them with a round 1 win over the Liberty Flames. Arizona and Akron, 13-4. These are other ones that tempt you into picking an upset. The Akron Zips against the other A-logo Arizona. Give me Arizona, the Wildcats, though, to move on against Oregon. BYU and VCU. Upset possibility, the 11-6. This is an upset-prone part of the bracket. I'm not convinced to go with VCU. BYU got knocked around against Houston in the Big Ten tournament semifinal. I'm going to go with BYU to bounce back and get a win in the round of 64. Wisconsin against Montana. Wisconsin looked really good in the Big Ten tournament. Good finish to their season. I'll have them Move on to round 2. St. Mary's against Vanderbilt, 10/7. Give me the 7 seed St. Mary's. They always seem to grab your eye, even when they don't play, even when they don't do anything too impressive. They're still there and they're still playing good basketball. And then finally, to close out the round of 64, Alabama against Robert Morris. I'll go with Bama. Now we're going to hop back over to the round of 32. Top left of your bracket, or at least my bracket, Auburn and Creighton. 9-1 matchup. This is tough. I initially picked Creighton to beat Auburn. I then scribbled it out. I second-guessed myself. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me. But I'm going to stick with the 1 seed, or Auburn. Despite some late-season struggles, I think Auburn will move on to the Sweet 16. Michigan and Yale. The Wolverines, I said, they have the capability to get hot, especially with how they ended the Big Ten tournament. I'll have Michigan going on to play Auburn in the Sweet 16. Ole Miss against Iowa State, a 6-3 matchup. I don't know why. I was feeling a good mood with Chris Beard's team today. I'm going to pick Ole Miss to go to the Sweet 16 as well. Marquette and Michigan State. This, to me, shoots some upset potential with Marquette. But I'm going to roll on with the higher-seeded Michigan State Spartans. Tom Izzo's team doesn't make a lot of threes, but they're fast. They're a good defensive squad. And when they do make the threes, it only adds another layer to their team. Moving down, round of 32 in the West. Florida against Oklahoma. Another 9-1 here in the round of 32. Another one I was kind of debating it with, but I'm going to ride with the 1 seed again. Florida moves on. Memphis and Maryland. Dane Danger. For Memphis, the former Illinois Fighting Illini against Stuart Queen and the Maryland Terrapins. Going to be a good matchup inside. Give me the Terrapins, however, to move across Memphis. Drake and Texas Tech. I'm sure a lot of America is going to pick Drake as a Sweet 16, maybe even further team. I'm going to stay with Texas Tech here and have the 3 seed advance to the Sweet 16. Arkansas and St. John's. Still can't help but be impressed with St. John's, Rick Pitino's team, in my book, going to the Sweet 16. Top right corner of the bracket here. If I can find it. In the East Division, Duke and Mississippi State, the 1 against 8 in the round of 32. Duke, Cooper Flagg, it's going to be back. Hopefully he'll be 100%. If so, Duke's going to be a hard team to beat under John Shire. Oregon and Arizona, 5/4. Oregon, Danica Gray, Nick Biddle, the coach, their star player, still capable of playing up to their standard. Even though they lacked it in some games this season, they have a high ceiling, and I expect Oregon to move on to the Sweet 16. Top in Arizona. Here's BYU and Wisconsin. BYU and Wisconsin, tough pick here. Wisconsin might be a little tired coming off that Big Ten tournament. Hard-fought lines to the championship, and then you got to get right back in action. Play the round of 64. I'm going to pick BYU, even though not a lot of people are picking BYU to get out of the first round. I'm going to have BYU in the Sweet 16. St. Mary's and Alabama. Could go with a 7 St. Mary's. I'm not going to, though. I'm going to keep it with Alabama, and it'll be Alabama, BYU in the Sweet 16 there. Moving down to the Midwest, Sweet 16 bids on the line for these teams. Houston and Georgia. My first number 1 seed is going down here. Georgia, I'm riding with them to beat Houston. I'm high on the Bulldogs because they showed their potential during stages of the season. And despite coming into the March on a little bit of a cooler note than they were at parts of the year, I'm going to say that they find it again, go into the Sweet 16. Clemson and Purdue. Purdue's got the talent. They have the past success. But I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to go 5/4. Shock some people. Pick Clemson. A team that I haven't watched this season too much. But as I said earlier, sometimes the best picks are the ones you don't know too much about. Then, Illinois and Kentucky. Kentucky, Mark Pope's team kind of glided into the finish, not playing their best basketball. Same with Illinois, shaky, up and down, up and down. I'm going to roll with my Fighting Illini, though. Staying true to my team. They're going back to their second straight Sweet 16. Will they meet another Big Ten opponent, or they have a rematch with Tennessee? I'm going to say Illinois-Tennessee, 6-2 matchup in the Sweet 16 in the Midwest Division. That would be a fun rematch if it ends up happening. Now we're going to pick the Sweet 16 games, find out who I got in my Elite 8 as we go back up to the top. And here we go. Auburn and Michigan. 1-seeded Auburn, 5-seeded Michigan. I said I think Michigan can make a good run, but it's going to start with the Sweet 16. 1-seeded Auburn is going to advance to the Elite 8. They're going to play you would think Michigan State. I don't like 1 versus 2s in the Elite Eight. I'm going to pick 6-seeded Ole Miss, and I'm going to have Chris Beard's team going out of the SEC, a little SEC matchup in the Elite Eight, Auburn and Ole Miss. Going down further, man, it's hard to find these on this TV. Florida and Maryland, there we are, 1 versus 4. As I mentioned, Maryland playing some really good basketball coming in to the home stretch of the year. Florida, though, so impressed with the way that they played, and I'm going to pick them to go up against St. John's in the Elite Eight. Florida and St. John's. I said I don't like 1 versus 2s, but I think these might be 2 of the best teams in the tournament, and I'm picking them each to the Elite Eight down in the west part of the bracket. Back up to the top right in the East Division, Duke and Oregon, another 1 versus 5. 1 seed Duke is going to end Oregon's Sweet 16 run. And then BYU against Alabama. I've rid the BYU train into the Sweet 16, despite probably not many people will do that. But I think I'm going to set up another 1 versus 2. Have Alabama beat by BYU there. And then again, Alabama, Mark Sears. Kind of a 50-50 team for me. I don't know what to expect from them in the tournament. But I'm going to ride them to the Elite Eight here. And then going down to the last corner, Georgia against Clemson. A 9 versus 5 for a chance in the Elite Eight. I'm going to keep going with Clemson. And I'm going to take them to beat Georgia. And have the Tigers down near the last 8. And then Illinois will end their raid, the Sweet 16. Getting beat by Tennessee for the 2nd time this season. And our Elite Eight is set. For the Final Four, Ole Miss and Auburn. 1-seeded Auburn, 6-seeded Ole Miss. I'm not stopping with my Ole Miss picks. I don't know why I felt like it today. But I always like to take somebody deeper than maybe a lot of people would think. Ole Miss ends up being that team for me today, this year in the 6th seed. I like their path, and I like Ole Miss into the Final Four. Going down to the west, Florida, St. John's, 1-seeded Florida, 2-seeded St. John's. I said, I think they're 2 of the best teams in the tournament. Florida got the last remaining number 1 seed, but they're a Final Four pick to me, and I'm going to have them go to San Antonio. Back up, we got Duke and we got Alabama, the 1 versus 2 in the East. Maybe, there we go, Duke and Alabama. Star power on each side, Cooper Flagg, Mark Sears. Give me the Duke Blue Devils going back to the Final Four. They beat 2-seeded Alabama there. Further down, last spot in the Final Four on the line, Clemson and Tennessee. Another magical run for Clemson that I felt like going with here today. It's going to end 2-seeded Tennessee is going to the Final Four. The backs of Jordan Caney and some of the other star power players for Tennessee. Now we're going to zoom out a little bit. Actually cut over here. Ole Miss and Florida, a 6 versus 1. Maybe there's some magic in the air sending Ole Miss to the championship. I think not. Florida's going to be in the final game of the college basketball season. They will be playing either Duke or Tennessee, and I'm going to have a 1-seed versus 1-seed. Another one that probably isn't likely, doesn't happen a lot, but I'm going to have a 1-seed. Duke versus Florida in the national championship, and my 2025 national champion pick is, fooled you, the Florida Gators. I'm going with Florida to beat Duke. I'm not a big believer in picking the score, but I like Florida to win. I was really impressed watching them throughout the SEC tournament. They got hot down the stretch. They're going to carry that into the tournament. Florida's my national champion pick, and there you have it. My entire bracket. Fun one to pick. Fun college basketball season. Hopefully a fun NCAA tournament is coming up. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm Grant the Broadcaster. Hopefully you'll drop a subscribe on the channel, a like on this video, and follow me on X/Twitter at Grant Dahlstrom. So again, thank you so much for watching. March Madness right around the corner. Goodbye, everybody.